two youngest people that you ever did see. Younger than springtime or a newborn baby. And the show is gonna surely make you shout. Yes, ma'am. We're talking about 5 questions with James and Jam. Yeah, that's it. Uh-huh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 5 Questions with James and Jam. I am John Andrew Morrison, known as Jam, and this magnificent fellow on the bottom of the screen today is...
Penny Marshall.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of reruns of Laverne and Shirley, so I'm in a place.
Okay. Otherwise known as?
James Jackson Jr.
Fantastic. And look who is here with us. I'm going to switch him to the wonderful catbird seat. It's the marvelous, it's the magnificent, the scintillating, the glorious, Mr. Alex Brightman!
Oh my God.
Applause, wild
Thank you.
applause,
Yes.
wild
Everybody.
applause.
Thank
Yes.
you. This is that really great moment where you get that applause, and then like an hour from now, when we turn this off, my computer screen is going to go dark, and I'll realize that I'm alone. But not only that I'd been alone this whole time.
Oh,
Wow.
That's deep.
Isn't that
That's the
Thank
sad
you.
part.
Thanks for having me.
Dark or deep and dark.
Yeah,
We're glad you're here.
What are we talking
We're very
about?
glad you're here.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'll take any applause that I can get. Truly, so thank you.
Where are you in the world right now?
I am in the Upper West Side of New York City.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's I've been a Manhattan snob, I guess you'd say, for like 15 years. I lived in Queens for like maybe 8 months, maybe less, but for the most part it's been Manhattan. So I'm here. I don't stray much. I don't stray much from New York in general. So
Okay.
Really?
And what have you been up to? How are your spirits? You're doing okay? You're good?
yes, I think when we last left each other, I was suffering from a concussion.
Yes.
So I had gotten this really wild and crazy and very oddly public concussion that I didn't. Yeah, I don't. It's interesting because you don't look at your
People get balls and they like to run. That's what it is.
I woke up that day when it turned out I was not going to be in the show for a minute and saw the headline and I was like, wow, that must be a very slow news day today. To see that, not because I don't think I'm anything not special, but just I was like, is this news?
This is what. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm way beyond that now, which is nice.
Yeah.
I got to close out Beetlejuice, which was so great. And as you know, you and I had a bunch of fun on it, Jam, and it's been a huge part of my life. I mean, it was nearly 6 years of my life of developing it and being a part of it. And so it was a really cool way to end it. And I'm glad I got to end it. There was a moment because of the concussion where it was maybe not going to happen. Yeah. So I got to do the last 3 evenings and it was a very nice way to try to put a bow on the whole thing.
You know what? I mean, this isn't one of our questions really, but talk about, because we've also been in long developments of shows and what was
We're
that?
the granddaddies of A Strange Loop.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's how long did you do, Jam?
I did.
Are you close to 14?
Something. But I mean, but really,
Lord.
it was the first time that I sung periodically. I mean, the development period of the version of the show that ended up going to Broadway, I think was about 7, 8 years.
7 or 8, maybe 8.
Yeah, but that's absurd. I mean, it's so crazy and so amazing of a journey that you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So
yeah,
I mean, in a way, it's like this weird thing, right? Like because you're not auditioning for the part, but you're almost always auditioning for the part.
Oh, yes, you are.
You're always auditioning to keep your job.
Yes, you are. I don't know what it's not almost, it's you are. That is my mindset 100,000%. It's not even close to not. There is no safety. Nobody is safe here.
Is it ego? Like why do we do that? Like we don't control anything.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we're all, I think actors, it's funny because we get encouraged and paid to be impulsive. And yet what we are afraid most of is losing control. And it's like the weirdest thing that we turn off in this way when we're on but it only works for us if we're in front of 2,000 people. If we did it for 5 people, we would be a mess.
It's so true.
That's so true.
It's so true. So I'm so curious about like, taking ownership and care of that part. You know what I mean? And I guess that leads, well, let me get into the questions.
Get
then,
into
all
it.
right?
Do it.
I think one of the things that I'm interested in knowing is about your creativity. What gets you going as an artist? What's the thing that makes you passionate about being an artist? And I'm talking about you as someone who does a lot of different things, right? So you lead a Broadway show, you're also writing things, you're doing animation, you're doing TV. Is there a unifying passion about it that gets you going, or is it like what's the thing that makes you go, I get to be an artist today and I'm looking forward to it?
I think there's two. I think there's two things for sure. One of them is a slightly cliche that it's like I've just always had a lot of fun, and I think that like for me, being creative is the most fun I can be.
Yeah.
Like I have a hard time, like I have an easy time and a hard time watching things I'm not in. Like it's because it's fun to watch and you're excited about it, but you're also like, that looks fun. I'd like to be up there, so I have to kind of pull that apart. That's number one. But number two, what creatively gets me going is this idea that, and this goes along with me having done improv since I was in high school, is that there's, a foggy road in front of you. I've said this before, but maybe not on a podcast, but I've said this to students a lot, is you're standing at the edge of a foggy road and you can't see the other end of the road. There's fog. There are two types of people, and there's of creative people too. I just happen to be the other one. First one says, I don't want to take my chances. I'll stay over here where I can see. And the other person is not only not afraid to, but is excited to kind of run through the fog and see what's there. Because potentially it's nothing. Potentially maybe it's something dangerous. And I'm taking the metaphor to its like logical end, but but for the most part, if you leap and you go into the fog, there's some reason you did it. Even if it doesn't go right, there's something exciting about the fact that you're like, wow, I can't believe I just jumped out of that plane. And then, so for me, it's like a thrill. I really enjoy in all facets so far. I haven't found one that I really dislike. I have maybe priorities, but I feel like I'll never skydive in real life, but all little moments are like little skydiving moments for me, that it's like little thrills that I know are going to be safe too. Like I don't feel, and I say that in the main, like I don't feel like I'm going to get hurt all the time.
Right.
Safety is relative, but I just always feel like, okay, so it doesn't go well, I can handle that.
So there's a thrill-seeking aspect to Alex Brightman with creativity, and because I've seen you, I've been in a rehearsal with you, and like you really do throw yourself into the work, and it's very like, oh wow, oh you're going for it, like every time. Oh, okay.
Carrie Butler told a huge, like I think Broadway Con. Carrie Butler told like this like room of thousands of people. She says, when I first stepped in the room with Alex Brightman, it was one of the most dangerous 6 hours I've ever had in my entire life. She goes, I was afraid for my life for the first 6 hours of being in there. But it's like, I enjoy, because if you're in a room, hopefully that's safe enough. And I can't say that for every single room, being like open enough to who you are and to everybody. I try to make it that way. It's not always successful, but then I can feel free to know that people will understand that what we're doing here is trying to do something together. We're not trying to like feed my ego. I'm part of the feeding. I like to inspire people to do what I do too. Like I like to be in the room, not to own it, but to like really like camp counselor people to do other weird shit.
Well, I gotta tell you, like, my whole Beetlejuice experience, I really kind of needed it before Strange Loop, because I learned something watching you work, and I learned something watching Leslie Kritzer work. But
you can leave her out of this because this is about
me. Clear. But just how present you were, and how like fully in your body and in it you were, I realized that there was this thing that I would do, especially in performance, where I would make the roadmap in rehearsals, but then when we got to a performance, I'd kind of like let go of the wheel a little bit and kind of go, okay, higher power or whatever, I'm gonna leave room for you to like do the thing or do your magic. And And I fucked up both of those presentations, so I lost that job. I had to. They asked me to like re-audition for the job, and I didn't get it. And it was the best thing that could have happened because it made me like reflect. And I remember one day like getting the message back, and it was like the universe going, "I don't sing, idiot. I made you to do that.
Yeah.
So you finish it." And I was like, "Oh, right, that's what Alex was doing. Like you knew what you were doing, but you also like knew what you were doing in front of the other. You weren't afraid to do the thing that you practiced in rehearsal and like control the thing all the way to the end."
So everyone, I know that all three of us can agree with this. That just this is how I can put it together. There, what you're saying is, as a good chef knows what he's going to cook, but has other ingredients on the side just in case he wants to spin it. You know what I mean? Like there's just things at your disposal that you know works. This meal is good, but sometimes it actually goes well with a little ginger. So I'm going to keep a little ginger on the side. It's a different meal at that point. Now it's a different cuisine, whatever. But I enjoy that. I enjoy the sort of like executive chef kind of idea of going like, this table didn't seem to finish all of their steak. Okay, I have an idea. And then do another and try it again. Yeah, try something else for the next course. Because I mean, you've seen me do that. I mean, there's no, it's not 100% success rate. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point is that
it's in the trying.
And that's to me is a big thing that I think a lot of people don't do because they are afraid that it's not going to work. So, but
that's ego. That's definitely ego.
That's right. And I would put it to that person to say, I bet you that if you did the thing you thought wasn't going to work, even if it didn't work, it's going to be funnier than the safe thing you chose.
Right.
Yeah.
And it always is. If somebody just works with their first gut instinct, it's typically the right thing, mainly because they made the choice to make it rather than going like, I think the room might like this. It's like, you don't know the room. You don't. True. You think you know the room, but we're all performing for each other. We don't really know each other until 2 weeks into rehearsal.
That's true. That's true. Wait, so you mentioned sorry, James.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was
I love you.
I love you guys.
Even when I haven't seen you in the flesh.
I actually want James to ask his. I'm going to dictate.
Please.
But I wanted to do it while they were sipping.
What was that always the plan? Like when you started on this journey and I found the freaks and I was like, oh, I need to be over there with those people. That's where my space is going to be. That's my field. Was that always the plan to go into those spaces and play?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a crazy, terribly unique way into this. I wanted to play baseball really badly, and then I saw like as I grew up, and I played my whole like a life into right up until college, but then you meet people in high school that are like, wow, you really like playing baseball, and I just like thought it wasn't going to be fun and then get paid, and you have to keep working hard. It turns out. But then I did theater when I was like 8 years old, so it started early for me, and I liked it, and it was way before things like YouTube was helpful to make other people understand that it was cool. And like there was no TikTok or social media to let people know like what I'm doing is actually kind of fun and cool. So I guess the only
about it to you, like what?
It's a good question. It's funny because I didn't really fit the mold of like this misfit toy kind of person. I just was like naturally flamboyant. And then like forever, like, I mean, there are videos of me when I was like 3 or 4 years old dancing on our fireplace to Billy Ocean.
Naturally.
Right. And I feel like that's something the three of us have in common. And
absolutely.
No, but I think like, I loved performing alone. I thought that was kind of where it could happen. And then I went to New York. My grandparents lived here. Now only one of them lives here. The other one lives in heaven. Okay. He would have enjoyed that. So
change residences.
Yeah, he would. That's right. Change he had to forward his mail. But so we went here and they took me to a Broadway show and I didn't know that was a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like I tell people a lot of the time, when you have an apple, like now, only speak in metaphor. I'm sorry to do this,
Please,
but it's legitimately how I have made money.
You are the Maya Angelou of this podcast.
That's
Please
right.
do.
I have nothing. I have no notes on that. I am. In fact, I'm going to start saying that to other people without any context.
Yep.
And see how good that goes for my career.
If they have a question, just tell them to call me.
That's right. I was gonna make a Caged Bird Sing reference, but I have nothing. I don't have any.
Let it brew. Let it brew for a second.
It was gonna sound misinformed.
Well,
it was gonna sound misinformed, and I think because of that, slightly racist. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to. How long have we been doing this already? Not long. So, we can get there.
Sign me up. I'm always ready.
I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, they took me to a show, and I went. It's like when you have an apple for the first time in your life. There's a moment before you eat that apple where you're like, wait, what's an apple? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a first thing for everything. And I think that's super weird to have, like, my first experience of anything like the thing I had felt in my room alone dancing to Billy Ocean was a thing that looked like other people do.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, other people do this? Like, it felt like some like weird 7 or 8 year old kink.
In a way.
Well, and it is. It's grown into a 36-year-old kink. But I think that was it. I think what turned me onto it was that it was what I was already enjoying doing at home, and so I wanted to find more of that. So I just found more misfit toys along the way, and I think like the more and more people like that I can collect in my life, the better. It's just I feel more at home around those people. I feel much more free to be flamboyant, which was a big part of like growing up, which was like. I was born in 1987. Yeah, and like especially if you're a boy that considers himself to be straight and likes girls, it's like it really it didn't bode well when I was like quite literally prancing around with and I still do this, by the way. Someone just commented the other day. My hands and wrists naturally will sit here. This is where they sit. And so when I talk, it is like this, and it has always been that way. I gesticulate and
yeah, and there are people who are going to have a problem with that in 1987.
Exactly. And so and that's what I guess I meant by the YouTube TikTok thing. Like they didn't get a reference for like, actually, no, what I do is popular too. Like, cause you couldn't, if you lived in California, which is where I was from, that was from the Bay Area of California. You couldn't just go like, you couldn't see like Dear Evan Hansen, or you couldn't go see like Ragtime. And see how great that is. People were reading Ragtime in my middle school and being like, this fucking sucks. And you're like, have you seen the musical?
You were that guy.
Yeah. I was thinking, I'm the other, like, the book was better than the movie. I'm like, but the musical was better than the book. Yeah, I've unabashedly loved musical theater for far too long.
So did you want to be like the leading man? What was your... you had these dream roles. I thought I was naturally going to grow up and be the Phantom in the Phantom of the Opera. That was my first thought. I think it was the first Broadway show I saw.
First Broadway show I saw was Cats. So that didn't do the same thing for me. But we go see Angela Weber shows. We go see Angela Weber shows. Right.
I want to see you dancing in the tights, Alex.
I know you do. You text me way too much about that at night, and it's.
I know.
It's getting uncomfortable.
And what's crazy is I've blocked your number like 10 times. It still comes through. How are you
doing? He's got several burner phones that nobody knows about.
Well, by the way, as a fellow Tony nominee, I understand the burner phone. So.
If you ever get a 212-555,
it's a when I hear a movie number, it's jammed. That's hilarious. No, yes. I guess the answer is yes about the leading man thing because I figured that's the best of the thing you could do. When I was a kid, I was like, of course, I want to be as much on stage as I possibly can at all times, and anytime I'm off stage is miserable. So that's kind of how it became a thing. And then as it went through, I think you start figuring out who you are. And then I played in high school. I think I played Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors, and I was very short. I still am, but I was like much shorter and like much smaller of a person. And I played it with an Audrey that was like twice my height. And it was brilliant. And like the director gave me all these things to do in that run. I'd known him for a long time. He gave me a sweater vest that I was too small for me to wear. So I'd put it on and I'd have to keep adjusting it and pulling it down just by habit, not because of character. When we got to the show, I got in my costume, regular sweater vest, still was kind of having these moments of adjusting. and just all of a sudden started to learn really early on, like, okay, there's got to be a name for what this is. And it became slowly but surely, like, I think what I like to be is a character actor, person that enjoys really going from like the outside in, actually, person that likes knowing what he looks like, what he sounds like, all of the sort of idiosyncrasies that come with the actual doing of the thing. And I think that, for me at least, it informs my thinking and being of the role, and not the opposite. Like, I have a hard time going inside out. I have an outside in kind of thing, which is also why I like playing, because it really does inform, like, oh, that doesn't work. Maybe, but if I have a limp, maybe then, whatever.
Yeah. But you know what? Like, that's how they always talk about the difference between like the Russian school of acting and the British school of acting. Like, the Russian school is very tortured, and you feel and you feel and you feel, and the Brits go, "I'm going to put on a hat."
Yeah, exactly. I've said this. So my first professional gig ever was in Los Angeles. I left college to do this play called The History Boys by Alan Bennett. And we did it with the National Theater, and we did it in LA at the Amundsen Theater. I was 18 years old. And I discovered in that moment how much I not only love, but revere Brits for how they rehearse. Those are my people. And I mean that 1,000%. If I was given the opportunity career-wise to move there, I would. And I just work better with them. And in the British kind of sensibility of rehearsing, not as a means to an end. I love this idea of like, we don't go today, we're staging scene 2. Like, doesn't that already sound boring? Like like with Alex Timbers, but Alex Timbers does exactly. And there's like a goal to be met, which is horrifying for an actor who wants to, then you have a time limit to like find. So British people find this way of like sandboxing their rehearsals in ways. I mean, sure, you got to get a result at some point, but like,
sure.
They let it sit for a little longer than most Americans that I've worked with, at least. And Alex Timbers actually does kind of cross that line. Like, he does that very playful, everything is important. All choices are choices that he's interested in too. So make them. And that to me, when I was 18, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This kind of theater. And I've tried it the other way, and it's fine. You get a director who like goes stand there and then do that. And that has its merits too, because they make beautiful looks. But as a preference, I prefer to be able to talk, disagree, encourage, and collaborate with a director.
Yeah.
And have some faith both ways. I like the idea of a director can trust me to kind of like, let me just try this. Let me try it for like 20 minutes too. No, not just try like a line or two. Let me try this.
Let me try to live in this.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved watching you work, because you went in and you went big. Like, like you were like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fully embody what. And I was like, you're very physical too. I was like, you are jumping up on this damn table and this. But I'm like, this is, oh gosh,
my body has completely suffered for it now. But it was worth every literal penny. It worked out just fine. But it does take a toll, and I do learn each time that I go, like, what it means to do a show more than once, because you have to do it 8 times. So to say yes in the room is a very big yes. It's a very big promise you're making to a lot of people to say, can you do this? And the answer in my head now has to be 8 times a week, ? Because I didn't do that in School of Rock.
No.
I said yes to everything. And I did if you watch any clip from that, it's like a cyclone. And when I was done with that show, what it left me was a really cool part of my career happened. But on the other side of that, I hemorrhaged a vocal cord. I irreparably damaged my ankles. I have knee problems. And so like, it's all because I said, sure, I'll jump off this amp 8 times a week. Sure, I'll slide on my knees for 2 times a day. And then for Beetlejuice, though, what you saw me working out in the room, John, is that I was like, okay, this is doable. Now let's see if it happens tomorrow. And if not, we went through 6 years of really crafting this thing.
Yeah.
And it helped. It was really helpful because I never really missed a show, because I was able to sort of do it.
Well, this, it leads me kind of to my next question, which is like, you have led big projects, right? The story is on your shoulder. You're the storytelling engine. You've led shows with big budgets, right? So how do you prepare yourself to do it spiritually, emotionally, physically? And was there a moment when you realized, I know how to do this and I can hold all of this? And I guess, how is that? Well, you kind of just mentioned it, because like from leading School of Rock to then leading Beetlejuice. That's a different idea of like holding the show, or being the engine for the show. You know what I mean? So
I do, but I still have answers to your questions for sure.
Please.
I was stupid enough, thankfully, in School of Rock, like awareness wise, that I didn't kind of understand, because it happened kind of in a weird way, about like I wasn't supposed to be the guy, and then they hired me to be the guy because they thought it would be cool for a run of it, but that'd be helping out with developing the show so that it would be handed off to somebody much more famous. And then we did a run in the room, and they kind of all got together, and as you know, Andrew Lloyd Webber is wont to do, he can make whatever decisions he wants, and so they chose me. I mean, it really became out of nowhere, truly. And so that show legitimately changed my life in a way that was very unexpected. Because it happened so fast, I was so not keen to the like, oh, this is a movie everybody loves and covets. Not covets. What's the word? It holds very close to their heart. Like coddles, like the people, like it's their baby, right? It's a subject material that people are very, 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 very in love with and protective over. I didn't even think about it. And so that helped. So because I didn't know if I was doing stuff wrong to whoever was going to see it, I didn't think about it. With Beetlejuice, and I'm not exempt from it in School of Rock either, but in Beetlejuice, I was so aware at how big of a like property that was. Well, people have like full back tattoos of Beetlejuice.
Right.
It's crazy. And there's bars dedicated to it here in New York. There's,
right.
It's a thing, right? So it's not just a movie. It's a culture. And so I was extremely aware of it, which was a problem, because that hinders creativity, really. If you're trying to like make something for everyone, no one will like it. And so I was so aware of it that to prepare for it, that both for School of Rock and this, and I was just talking to my wife about this, when I did Matilda, same way, going into that show, knowing I'd have to do a bunch of choreography after having broken an ankle. I just recovered from breaking an ankle. It was a whole big year. 3 times each time in this process, at least once, I found myself in somewhere by myself on the phone with my parents sobbing, because it got too big, or it got too real, or it got too much responsibility to this idea where inevitable imposter syndrome kicks in, and you just go, you just kind of think to yourself, you're like, wait a minute, so am I dying and nobody wants to tell me, and they're just letting me have this like amazing amount of fun, but I'm not the right guy for it, but they know that I'm dying, so I only have like 3 months to live, so they're letting me do this. And you start feeling like all these things of like, God, I don't, especially if you have a bad day at rehearsal, it's like, forget about it.
Oh, it's over.
And you really take it personally. So it was kind of a constant preparation, I guess, through those to lead, because there was such a responsibility. But part of that preparation was like remembering 2 things. One, we were adapting. So like the good news is, as long as I'm still adapting, as long as I'm still making shit different and trying to move towards a thing that we're all agreed upon, then great. But number 2, they didn't do me a favor. I did them a favor by being here. And they didn't give it to me out of charity. They gave me the role because they think I earned it. And so I wanted to earn it really badly. I couldn't tell them that I did. So I couldn't be like, see how much I earned this, but you do it. And that's what I mean about the audition, is that you really like, once you're there, you turn that kind of, and for me at least, this was like the constant preparation. You turn that into just a constant reminder that every day you show up, you have to be this guy. And you can be all of him, but be him, be consistent, bring some of your baggage into the room. That's part of creativity. I don't believe in leaving it at the door. I don't know. I think it's weird when people are like, have a lot of problems outside the room and then they walk in all smiles. I'm like, that's more psychotic to me than, it's way more psychotic to me to do that. So preparing was every day, I guess, kind of like, and then it became, I've put this in ways before, like it became like an app that was running in my background. Like it was like running in the background, just kind of like this idea of like, it's not in front of me right now, but I'm aware that like, okay, this is the right place. I'm in the right place. Today wasn't great, but thankfully there were fewer of those than they were not. But it all towards a certain goal, which is let's make something really fun. And I got better at it as I went. I got better at being more keen to just waking up in the morning going, boy, yesterday was crazy. And then being okay with
and
it.
reflecting.
All right.
But that's something, I mean, that's a great like skill set or a thing to be able to learn, to be able to like, okay, you know, I now have a way of walking through a multi-million-dollar project.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's a coping mechanism that allows you to, in the same way your body, maybe this isn't the healthiest thing to say, but like when you walk into a rehearsal room, I feel, even in a show, and I think you'll resonate with this, we sort of put ourselves into a version of being in shock of like, if we thought about what we were really doing for 1 second up there, it's all I'd be thinking about.
I would burst into tears.
Exactly. But it's because it's too big. It's too weird.
I'd overload. I feel like I would implode if the facts of what we are doing.
It's crazy.
The actual facts. We don't do a normal thing.
No. And my therapist said, what you do is abnormal for a living. What is to say that your life would be anything but that? It's that what you have to survive in an abnormal career by being slightly abnormal of a person. It's okay.
That's true.
And to hide that is the crazy thing, I think.
To hide that would be a problem. That would be a problem. Let it all hang out.
I just have always been sense. And I've been so aware of like, because Beetlejuice really gave me the permission to do this, to be fully aware of what's going on, because I could break the fourth wall, I could do whatever, and to sit there and be like, wow, so there's one person on stage right now. It's me. Yep. I'm me. I'm in here. I'm aware of this, and then I'm looking out, and there's no less than 1,500 people facing the same direction facing my direction. And but in any other situation, if in history or anything else, this is an attack. This is not. And for some reason, we've all agreed that this is theater, and that you're going to listen to me. And if you talk, you get kicked out.
Yeah.
What a dream.
Like, so, how do you stay sane in that?
Whoever said I was sane.
Well, then there's that. I'm on this journey right now, also in therapy, where someone, probably my therapist, who I'm paying, brought up the words self-care and self-love, and I was like, I'm paying you, so shut up. So, and I'm on this sort, not battle, but this journey of like, what is the difference between self-care and self-love? Like, one sort of, you need one to do the other.
I think so.
There are things that come up in our crazy world, in our not normal situation. This job that we do is not normal. And sometimes to get the things that we need to stay normal, we don't get them. But we still got to do the job. We still have to, there is that unfortunate, the show must go on thing. So on some levels, we still have to do the job with some of the things we don't need. So it's, how do you take care of yourself in that?
It's a new thing that I'm figuring out, and I say new, like 3 years new, that is like how to come home and let the thing that just happened be where it is, and not bring home and dump a story onto your significant other that they don't even know the context of, and like go, and then this person, this, and then the show, and then this person. It's like, they don't, maybe they love you and they want to hear things, but like, they're not your publicist, they're not your agent, they're your friend, and they're your significant other, and you want to be able to do the life thing with those people. So it took me a long time with medication and therapy and life changes. So like no drinking, different meds, much more like useful therapy rather than like me like performing bits for my therapist, which became a big part of my therapy. I mean, but it's still, I'm still shaking. Like, to be like, is this anything? And I have like bits. He's like, why am I here? But once I started doing that, I could get home, I could do the show, right? And then I could get into a car. I had a car. Sorry, I was the lead of a show. And same. Well, you and I shared a car.
My own car.
Oh, you drove my, you drove the car. Right.
Yeah.
I had a person drive me. So, but in the back seat of that,
like, I drove the thing that's out front right now.
I drove.
I'm gonna drive myself here.
Can I tell you what? If they gave me a car to drive, I would have preferred that.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have been alone, to be quite honest.
There is something about that.
As much as I enjoy, and I'm a brand new car owner now, I will say that there is definitely I would have maybe chosen that if the traffic wasn't so shitty post show. But
That's
sitting in the
true.
back
That's
of a
a bit-
car, being able to put on my headphones, watch a basketball game, big basketball fan, and go home. And by the time I get home, actually be slightly decompressed is new to me. And that is the greatest thing in the world, because all the conversations I now have with my wife or my dog have very little to do about the show that just happened. Because every story is a variation on a theme. It's the same fucking show. So it's like
they're all the same story.
It's
over
all the
and
same
over
story,
and over.
right? And so so let's talk about what happened today to both of us rather than what happened to me at the show. And I think it's still something I'm learning and still something I'm trying to get better at, because I'm so used to being interviewed. And that's just, and that's its own, not to like belittle a real disease or sickness, but like being interviewed all the time and people being interested in what I'm doing is a sickness. Like that can make me sick.
It can make you sick. Yeah.
And the only cure is please ask me more about me. Talk me to me. and I'm yours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I would go. I mean, I would go out to places that I didn't want to go because I maybe knew someone would be there to ask me things about me. And I think that that's just not how I want to be. And I think with like the meds that kind of cleared up all the, all the wires in my head, like I'm just like, oh no, I'd rather just kind of go home and read or whatever.
I think there's some power. There's some solace in being able to carry both things.
Totally.
To be able, not to like say you have to turn it on at some point and do the thing and schmooze and press the flesh or whatever, but to be able to recognize that because of the strange, weird, not sane thing that we work in, you're going to have to do these things. But you do have to know the difference and know that you can carry those two things. You can carry, hey, we got to talk about this light bill.
Yes.
And I might have to sign this autograph or something. You have to know how to do both things and how to separate them.
Yes. Well put.
It's really difficult.
Really well put.
But somewhere in there, or just knowing that you have to do both is, I guess, self-care.
Yes. I love it.
How you feel about it, I guess, could turn into like self-love, I guess, on some level. You were going to say something, Jam. I heard the Jam in.
No, because there was something that both of you kind of like alluded to that made me think about that thing about turning it on.
Yeah.
That thing that like, in my everyday life, I don't have sharp movements. You know what I mean? Like I don't languidly like walk into the room. You know what I mean? Like there's this thing
I don't know what you're talking about.
Where you just shattered the whole vision I had of you in my life.
But you get what I'm talking about. Like there's this thing that we do as performers where we're like, oh, I'm going to switch it on now. And I'm just wondering if, like, for the both of you, what does that mean for you? It is places you've come up to the stage deck, or you're about to make an entrance, and you're like, I got to turn the thing on. What does turning the thing on look like for you, or feel like for you, or like when does it engage? I'm kind of curious to hear both of you talk about that.
James, you go first.
It comes on as you leave the house. Your whole day is thinking about, oh, I have this thing I have to do tonight. So I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to do my things. I'll pay these bills. I'll send these emails. But I have to go do this show tonight. And so you pack the bag. And then there's that moment you do leave the house to go towards the theater. And because we're in New York, I think there's a lot of steps involved. There's the walk to the subway, then the subway. There's the standing out on the corner waiting for the car. There's all of these things you have to go through to get to one dark, tiny, not well lit dressing room.
And you're doing it by yourself, by the way. You're not. There's not all these people walking around New York either, right?
Yeah.
There's not all these like insane people you have to dodge
streets.
As well. Yeah,
Empty
totally empty,
that,
idealistic.
You smell nothing but flowers, not a hint of urine, not a single drop of urine anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's the whole journey there, all the way to places. It's not a switch. It's I guess it's kind of a dimmer, Because if you did the full switch, it would be a little crazy.
There's been some whiplash
but
involved for sure.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of little tiny things that get the thing going, and then all of a sudden it's places, and all of a sudden bring the house to half, and it's all of the things, and then it's showtime. Like it is,
Yeah.
you're there.
Yeah.
I've seen people who it looks like they're kind of like someone unplugged the thing, and they're just kind of like, eh, and then they plug it in, and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
here
that's
I am.
crazy. I don't know how people do that.
That's weird to me. I don't ever want to be that, but I think it's little tiny things that you amp up. It's part of like stopping at your bodega on the way and like saying hi to the guy and petting the bodega cat and like doing the thing on your way to the show. It's a bunch of little things.
It's sports. Everybody has, every pitcher in baseball has their own little routine before they pitch the ball. And for anybody listening that I'm sure doesn't watch baseball,
I simply had an itch on my throat.
Okay. That was perfect. I was waiting to be rebuffed and rebutted. And what happened was I was completely affirmed by what I just said.
I was the star of my little league team.
Is that right? So was I.
Yes.
Look at us now.
Right.
Now we all shared the same street as a play about baseball.
See?
Perfect.
I feel like, damn Yankees. See what I did there?
Yes, I did. Yeah, and that's a real team for everyone listening. The Yankees are a real team. Yeah,
I have heard of them.
Just a quick. I don't disagree with most of what James said about that. It's kind of more of a process more than a switch. But I think for me at least, I have now gotten to, for myself. I think it works differently for others. Once I get into the theater, then it starts the slow something. I think like I have a pretty good version of getting myself head to the ground, meaning like focused, like having my, meaning like life focused before I get there, just sort of like listening to a podcast, not trying to warm up before I get there, not trying to like do anything that feels showy, which is like was a huge part of my life before all this. Was like, I wake up and the first thing I would do before I open my eyes was like do a lip trill to see if I had anything.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, big time. But because like, it was 8 a.m. and I was like, I got a show in 12 hours,
I got to be ready.
Yeah. But that's how I really felt because I led a show. It was all this stuff. It was a lot of pressure and not a lot of faith in myself, it seemed. So I just have a little more like, when you met me, Jam, it was like, and when I got to wonderfully meet you, by the way, more importantly, that was a time, and well, maybe that's what it was. Maybe meeting you changed my whole thing. Is I took what I did and I took my job more seriously. I always think I do a really good job, like taking my job seriously, but I let myself off the hook a little more. Like I was like, all right, do the work. Be confident in that. And when you go home, be like, good. All right, let's do that again tomorrow. But for now, and waking up in the morning now with the Beetlejuice of it all, if we, 6 months ago, or whatever, woke up and wouldn't worry about it just yet. Because what am I trying to sing the show at 8 a.m? What am I doing?
Right.
Like the whole logic behind doing a vocal warm up at 8 a.m, if you're not doing the Today Show, then what are we doing?
Right.
Like that, it was such, and it goes back to all this ego and self-importance. And like, if I'm not in the show tonight, then who will be? It's like an understudy.
Right.
There's an answer to this question.
Right.
Yeah. Most questions that I've asked myself had answers. I just never realized that. You know what I mean?
Or wouldn't accept them.
Yeah. Even if I heard
Definitely
them.
wouldn't accept them. Yeah.
But certainly didn't think there would be answers. I mean, I think like I'd have to solve everything. And the curtain couldn't possibly rise if I wasn't behind it.
Oh yeah, gosh.
And so but then I let that go.
Yeah. I think for me it was like, I would get to the theater maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours before. And there was something about the hour mark on stage that I like to be on stage and just like see the crew and all
Jam
of the
goes to
others.
greet everybody.
He learned that from me.
I did. Would be, they'd be stuffing the things, and I'd have like a little chit chat with them, and like, I'm like, hey, Rocco, how are you doing up there in the light booth, you know, like I would just talk.
He's
to
like, my name
everybody.
is Joel. I don't know who's Rocco. You're trying to be nice. You're like, hey.
But no. What is really lovely about Jam, I've watched him do this all of the time we were on Broadway. It is a part of the churning thing.
Oh, I get it. It's teamwork.
And then the days that he doesn't do it, or you know, you have an interview or something, and you get to the theater closer to actual half hour, and you have to just like get ready and do the show. And he doesn't have the time to do his full greet the stage, greet the people, say hello, check into with folks. I notice that he's different. Not that his show
still
is
good
in any way
still good, but just less than what you know.
Lovely. Yeah.
Audience would never know.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And I'm like, Jam is different.
Yeah.
And I love that is a part of what you do. And I think that's something like you can't teach that.
And I think everybody has their own like way of doing. Like, you know, I have my weird water bottle thing. Like one bottle has electrolytes on one side of the stage, and one has ice water. And like for whatever reason, like you know, the dressers would always be like, "I can do your water bottles for you," and I'm like, "No, I gotta do my water bottles." You know what I mean? Like I was always like, I know where I want the water bottle and the that was.
Can I tell you?
Let me like a stray Sprite can somewhere backstage at the Lyceum.
It's still there. Yeah, it's still there.
Probably. With like a straw. Just
a plastic straw?
Probably, because I'm terrible.
Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh, we should cut that. Cut that.
I'm a horrible person.
It's okay. I just had a Diet Pepsi from with a plastic straw today, so I shouldn't be judging. To that end about the water bottle thing, just as a small 160-second anecdote, is I had the same dresser both times in Beetlejuice. His name's Travis, and he's the best human on the planet. And we got along so well, and we were like dear friends during it. And it was just a blast to come and be in the same room with him. And we got to really get to know each other. But the water bottle thing is big for me too. I don't know what it is. It feels too regal to not fill your own water bottle up. There's something about like, and so sometimes though, I'd be in the makeup chair and I would run out or whatever, and I need to stay there. And so every time, and I have never not done this, every single time I would go, Travis, and I go, I know this is not your job. Would you mind filling my water? Like I would be like right. Bending over, like I'm prostrating. So yeah. Like, and but every time it was, of course. But I'm like, every time, literally for like the 2 years total we did the show, I was like, Travis, listen, buddy, I know this isn't your thing, and I'm sorry. You know, he's like, it's water, it's down the hall. Right. But I get it. Because we like to do things ourselves. We also, by the way, and don't tell me I'm wrong, but we like to be the hero in this story. We like to be those guys. We like to be known as those people. Right. And we are
time with that stuff.
Well, we are. Well, we are those people. But sometimes we'd like to remind people in ways. And I think that I would be kidding myself if I didn't think that it would be much easier to say, "Can you grab me some water, please?"
Well, because we've all seen the other side of it. We've watched other people do terrible things, and we've been like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I just pride myself on not being that. Being
nice is such an unfortunate commodity in this business. And I mean really nice. I don't mean like overly sweet and that. I mean like warm and encouraging.
Nice
well, just warm, encouraging, inviting, friendly, like words that are not just like the buzzwords of like, you know, spunky and you know and whatever. But like, you know,
but those people do exist. They do when you encounter them in our world. In a dark backstage somewhere, or in dark just the house somewhere, and it's just dark, and you encounter these really lovely humans.
Yeah,
it is such a special thing, and it bonds you, I think, for life. And you will run into that person again, and they're never in the same department as you. It's always,
never.
You know,
it is as actors. No, you're out of your mind.
But I think those are the people to hold on to.
To your point. Jam, real quick, to your point of that about you going and talking to people, that's like my one rule that I tell people that I have in class is like when you get to a theater during tech, the first thing you need to do is either learn everybody's names, write them all down, or hopefully, typically, the theater will have a little face page for you that you get a chance. And the only downside to that is nothing. There is absolutely no downside to that. And there's only upside. And that's what you're talking about. This idea when you meet somebody warm, you talked about James, and this idea of like when you find these like little pockets of nice there's an usher that you're like, wow, you
Yeah.
exist?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
incredible. And
Yeah.
the only way you're going to find those nice pockets of time is if you go seek that shit out. They're not allowed backstage.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
it's so true. I mean, like
True.
I make a game of it. Like like when we moved into the theater, I would go up to people and like, what is your name? And they'd tell me the name, and I'm like, I'm gonna ask you 4 more times.
Yeah.
But like if you see me struggling, tell me. And like I would literally like, and I'd see them and I'm like, Greg.
He's like, still
John. And I'm like, okay, and 3 more times, I promise, 3 more times. But then they would play, they'd play along, and like,
That is
but
great.
the great thing about it was like, I then developed a shorthand with people, and like you kind of like end up having a rapport with people, and they save your bacon so many times.
And by the way, you got their name eventually, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you actually did the thing that you were inspired to do, rather than making it a game prolonged, and this person having to then wonder, does he actually not know my name?
No, I knew everybody. Yeah, and
of course he knew everybody's name in
of course.
the Lyceum.
That does not surprise me knowing him.
And also, I learned something, about collaboration, that the collaboration isn't just the actors. Rocco, who was one of the light operators, he came up to me one day, we were on the stage, and he's like, I love that you do this thing. And there was this one particular moment. You step, and then you wait 2 beats, and then you step 3 times. And it saves me because I can catch you with the light, and then I know, like, you're consistent. I know that you're going to do bum, 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 and I catch you with the light. And I was like, well, thank you for telling me that, because now that's locked in. Because every single time that I was on stage, I would go, boom, Rocco's got this. Boom, boom, boom. Rocco got it.
Go team.
Now move on. Right? Like it was like, oh, I'm in concert with this person too, and this
you're supported.
Yeah. But I'm also supporting him and not making him look like an asshole by having the light do some weird shit. And like I wouldn't have learned that unless I spoke to them and heard, oh, you're relying on me to do that. Thank you. You've made me now know that this part of my performance is. You need this as much as like I need to give you. You know what I mean?
I think that's a beautiful thing.
So it's All right. So in case you were wondering, we've been in our 5 questions.
Yeah.
Oh, we have?
Yeah. We got one left.
Was this like a fun one, or is this going to be a very dark, deep one? What are we doing?
It's going to be so dark and so deep.
I'm going here.
You're going to cry.
I'll go. I cry every day. It's not going to be new for me.
No, it's not.
No.
The last question that I have of the 5 questions is the future.
Yes.
Alex
That's not
Brightman.
A question.
Well, I haven't asked it yet.
Oh,
it might be.
Yeah.
That's true.
It might be. Wow. It got dark. What is the big dream? What's the something that you have not done in this business that you would love to do?
You want to do.
What's the? I wonder what this would be like. Is for you?
It's a good question. So I've dabbled in nearly everything at this point, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which has like been really an exciting thing because not even things that I would not have expected that I would have even imagined trying. Like voiceover is not something I thought about ever, and would never had aspirations to do it. And I just think it's so much fun now. And it's just, great. So that's the context. Like I've dabbled. So there's not something that's out there that like necessarily I haven't done as a genre, but I would say that where I'm at right now, I have so much to say writing wise that and that people have now started to read that and pay attention to and fund and encourage, that I think I'm good as an actor. Like I think that I do a good job and I think I'm fun to work with, and I don't think that I'll ever have, I hope, knock on wood, I don't think I'll ever have trouble like getting some kind of job. And that doesn't mean like, I don't even mean that professionally, Broadway, whatever. I would love to, I'll work, So I think that's always going to be part of my life, but I'm really interested about when you say the future, what a future looks like with me behind the table more than I am in front of it. I don't know if I'll ever be able to say goodbye to the stage, but right now, the writing that I'm doing, which is severely different than the parts that I play. Like I talk about deep dark. I mean, it's like really the stuff I'm writing a play right now and I'm developing it right now. And there's musical stuff that I've been writing, and I don't write music, but books to musicals. That sure, they're funny, but like it's stuff that I really want to, it's stuff that's in my head that I want out there. And it's the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I write it. And I can't just like, I can't like get an idea across through a performance, you know? I want to float an idea across about how I think life is and what it should and shouldn't be through someone else's mouth. Like I would I don't want to be in many things that I write, to be honest. I love so far having written things and others interpreting my work. And I'm having such a good time just having thoughts about life. This goes right back to being flamboyant, actually. Not being afraid to just have thoughts that might be wrong, but big. And this is I'm stealing a quote from my dad's friend, I think, who I always think about this. If you're going to fail huge is what the quote is. And I'm just like, yeah. So like I have things that I think about, and every time I've said little bits and pieces of them in my writing, other people have said, I've thought about that. Like that's something. So it's nice to connect.
That's good.
And it feels good to not have to, kill myself every night physically on stage to do that. So I'm having a really good time writing. So I think the future, what is it? What do I think? In the next number of years, I think it's going to be that. I hope there's a lot of that. I don't mind if I won't give up anything for it, but
sure.
I really have enjoyed the stuff I'm writing, and others seem to as well, which is also like very encouraging.
Can I ask, like, did you take a writing workshop, or did you just like, how did you get out of your way? Because every time I try to write something, I'm like, I'm going to write the next great project for John Andrew Morrison. And then I write something, I'm like, it's shit. I hate it. And it's the worst thing ever. And then like, there's so many things that like lights up in my drafts of things that have just never.
Well, you've done the hard part. The hard part is writing lights up, and then you have a page later on that says end of play. But everything else has to. The easy part actually is in between. You're just neglecting it. The easy part is just saying what you think a bunch and not editing. No, the way I got out of my own way was because I was desperate to do anything. I'd broken my leg in 2000. I broke my ankle in 2013, around there, in a show called Big Fish that I did. Yeah. And I was depressed and I didn't know what to do. And it was the first original company that I was in, and I didn't get to record the album. I wasn't allowed back in the building because I was a liability, because you don't work there anymore. And so I like lost a group of friends overnight, to the extent, I still, they loved each other. I just couldn't be with them every night and do the show. Yeah. I was broken up with. It was like a big, big winter. And I got a desk and a chair because I had to be prone pretty much. I had pulled 2 bones apart in my foot. And so it wasn't as easy as a healing bone. It really had to stay still. So I just like, why don't I just write? I've written exactly what you did, John Andrew. It was like, I had this folder on my computer that said writing. And every actor has one. And you're lying. I was going to say you're absolute bullshitting if you say you don't.
I have a journal. It's called Journalese Keating.
Journalese Keating.
Oh! I just want to make you aware.
Oh, hey!
And this one says Alex Brightman's dumb fucking notebook. So just so you're aware, we all have our folders here and there somewhere.
That's great.
So I had kernels of ideas that I think none of them ended up becoming anything, but I started at least giving them attention because I had the time and I wanted to not just keep watching Shark Tank reruns on NBC. And so I started doing that. But then you said, did you take any classes? The answer is kind of, but I took no true in-person classes. But what I ended up taking was, that master class thing that was being promoted.
Oh, yeah.
That was like all these like celebrities would do like their lessons. Yeah. I did Shonda Rhimes's. And it was fascinating. And because I was coming at writing from an actor. So I'd seen scripts. I know what they look like. I know what good storytelling is when I read it. I don't know if I knew how to generate it. And all it did was having all that inside me, like the little knowledge I did have, it just was a way for me to like put shape to it. Like if I threw a blanket over what I knew over this course, it at least gave it the shape of something that looked like a story. And so it she did such a great job. I don't know her personally, but she does such a great job of making it feel user friendly, like accessible. You can write, you can, and it's not one of those like blind faith. It's like you will have to work crazy hard, you will have to sacrifice things, but she kind of walks you through how she did Grey's Anatomy, and she did it, and it was really helpful because there's also business shit that I didn't know.
Yeah,
and how to like please production companies and studio notes, things that I've done now. Like things like when I've now sold 3 shows. I've sold 2 live action shows and 1 cartoon I'm currently working on. And all of it is stuff I would have never known if I didn't take this class or read stuff or ask other people.
Amazing.
Because I'm not a class. I don't know how I feel about it. I've never done a writing class. I don't mind class at all. I have no problem being in an acting class. I like if they're good, they're good. But the Shonda Rhimes kind of like started me off, and I just kind of started finding specialized. I can't recommend it more. Actually, it really worked for me. It's really why I have an OnlyFans. It's so I can afford it.
Yes. What's the OnlyFans handle?
What's the genre? Oh, the genre.
I helped a friend audition for a Shondaland series, and one of the things that I loved about looking at the script was her stage directions or her screen directions were hilarious.
Yeah,
because it was like stuff like, oh, when she said that, her face cracked like you did not just say that to me.
Yep.
And then like there was another thing where like she says something happens, and then she wrote, and yes, honey, now we're in a sequence.
You know what's so funny that you said that? It's so funny you said that. There was I can't remember. It was recently I read one of the scripts that she had written for something else, and someone said a line, and the person that said the line was ignorant to something. It was I think it was like either a race thing or a homophobia thing, and they said something homophobic or whatever. And the stage direction underneath it, which the next person was speaking, was a little more knowledgeable. The stage direction said, "Oh, honey."
Yes.
And it was like, and that actually, it depends on who you are. I love a script that has stage directions that are all meant to be read and also seen.
Yeah.
Right. I just think they're fun. I think they don't hurt anybody.
It informs so much.
It informs, I will say, for the people out there that are professionals and trying to write and to an end, to for other people that will pay you, there is such a thing as page count. So you do get, you do write your 68-page first draft of a 30-minute comedy, and you need to trim it to 28. So it doesn't matter how sexy or cool your stage directions are, they are, but sometimes can you also say this in a piece of dialogue? Can you also say these 10 lines in a look? Can you know what I mean? Things like that I've just kind of learned over the course of so much trial and error. Because it's the thing I really, really talk about, waking up and wanting to do something right away. Like that's now my lip trill. Like I'll wake up and I will just start flexing my fingers. And like, that's my new way of feeling creative before I'm up.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
It allows me to miss the other thing too. I think that became a real nice thing during Beetlejuice, was like, I could work on stuff all day or as long as I wanted to. And then by the time we got to like 4:30, I'd be like, I got to do that thing I love.
I just want to acknowledge that when we started this, it was daylight outside your window, and now there are lights in the apartments behind you. Isn't that wonderful?
I think
it is. It's wonderful. I loved coming into the evening with you both.
All right, so I think it's time to move to the games.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I don't know if I knew this. I'm excited.
Yes, we have games, and they're delicious, and they're scintillating, and they're wonderful.
Here's the thing: there are 2 quick games. Unfortunately, one of them is better than the other.
That's okay.
So that one we will save for the second game. But I despise the first game because I have class, and it is Jam's game.
Okay,
so I'm going to let Jam.
Okay. I'm interested. I'm certainly intrigued.
I don't know that I appreciate all of this like color around my game. There was a lot of editorializing about my game. But anyway, the name of the game, Alex Brightman, this brilliant, glorious game that I've invented is called Stinky Mouth, Sloppy Mouth.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was hoping it would be called.
Yeah. And here is how you play Stinky Mouth, Sloppy Mouth. Alex Brightman,
Yes.
you are tasked with performing the most beautiful screen kiss in all of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And your scene partner is a wonderful, wonderful person. You all get along famously.
Mm-hmm.
And the person has a very dry mouth,
Okay.
but they've maybe enjoyed the tuna fish at craft services a little bit too much, rendering them a little bit of a twinge of a stinky mouth.
Yeah. When it's
Stinky mouth.
craft services, tuna is very different than
It's right.
It's a special.
It's
tuna.
a special
that's
one.
a special been sitting there kind of tuna.
Or B, their mouth is perfectly fresh,
Yeah.
but they just tend to have a lot of saliva, rendering them a little bit of a sloppy mouth.
I can't put my finger on why this is slightly anti-Semitic, but I'm feeling. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just joking. I think it was the tuna. Of course, I'm joking. Okay, so that's the setup.
Yeah, so that's the setup. So, Alex Brightman, are you kissing the stinky mouth or the sloppy mouth? Which do you choose?
Can I ask one follow-up question?
Oh, sure.
Sloppy mouth. Do I get along with them?
You get along with them
Everything is great.
either way. Yeah, everything is great.
I'm helping.
You're helping it. Yeah, you're helping in a game you can't stand. I don't know. I think that. Yeah, I think there really is only one way for me to go with this one because I do have like a pretty sensitive nose. So I think it's got to be. I would have to like really kind of get into the sloppy mouth. Yeah, I think I have no problem, by the way, with a sloppy mouth. If I'm being honest, I didn't mean to say it as with my eyebrow raises I did, but I don't.
even keel eyebrow.
Yeah. Let me just. No, but I think I can't. The smell thing. It's the same thing I can't do. And again, I don't cast aspersions on people that can. Like that, I can't. If I was dating anybody that would smoke a cigarette, I'd have to break up with them. Like I can't do it. It's something that, and it's someone's independent proclivity. That's fine. It's just not my thing. And so, a bad breath smell. And by the way, I have bad breath. In many days of my life because I have a digestive disorder that causes sometimes bad breath for me not to digest properly. So I'm being hypocritical here, just so we're clear. I have eaten steaks. I have eaten a steak that would sit here for about the rest of the week if you let it. I know. I'm sorry,
Alex Brightman. You are a stinky mouth who prefers a sloppy mouth.
Yes, I am. That's exactly. Why do you get such a kick out of this?
I think Stinky Mouth, Sloppy Mouth is the greatest game.
So, by the way, let me say this about the game. I had such a blast playing it. And number two, I totally understand why James hates it.
Thank you for understanding. I thank you for entertaining, Jam.
Which one did Ryan Reynolds pick?
He picked Stinky.
He picked Stinky.
He did pick Stinky.
Any reason or just kind of went for it? He went.
I can't remember the reason.
Oh, I remember. He said, I don't think a kiss should be a beverage.
That's very funny.
And while I appreciate the poetry of that,
yeah, I don't think kissing should be a beverage.
That was a very good Ryan Reynolds.
I feel like everybody can do a pretty good one. Not everyone can do a great one.
Oh
That's
my
a pretty good Ryan
gosh.
Reynolds
Yeah,
for sure.
I enjoyed it.
Moving on to what I like to believe is the best game ever.
Let's see it.
It is the instructions are in the title. The name of the game is Pick a Pair of Patties. It's
okay.
really self-explanatory. So I'm going to give you a scenario, and your job will be just like the title says, to pick a pair of patties. The scenario that you will have will be a bank robbery, a bank heist, if you will. So you need to pick a pair of patties. You need to pick someone to be the heavy, do like the give me all your money, and someone to then drive the getaway car. your patties to choose from will be.
I didn't know if it was going to be multiple choice or I was going to get a range.
No.
Okay.
Now some people want to range, and maybe we will one day include more
I
patties.
like multiple choice is good.
The standard patties that we let people choose from are Broadway's Patti LuPone,
of course,
America's sweetheart Patti LaBelle,
yes,
and Disney princess herself, Patti Murin.
Thief.
Broadway's Frozen. Very quick, in the mask, and direct.
Thief.
So we need
She's a thief.
To pick. We need you to pick a pair of patties. Someone to give me all your money, and someone to drive the getaway car with Patti LuPone, Patti LaBelle, and Patti Murin.
Okay. Well, to keep all things fair, I think we have to eliminate Patti Murin because I feel like the whole operation would be just totally scorched because she's going to take everything for herself because she's a thief. Scorched. If you're walking away with money and you want it split on all ends, you have to eliminate Patti Murin. So now it comes down to the roles that they play.
It is a heavy and a driver.
I think. Why am I giving this so much thought? I think because I'm thinking about one does more talking than the other, and that's what I'm really getting at. And they both have fun singing voices and speaking voices. But really, I think what it comes down to is when the heavy gets into the back seat and says "drive," who do I want that to be? And I think it's Patti LaBelle. I think it's Patti LaBelle. I think Patti LaBelle is the heavy, if only so she can slam the door, and then LuPone goes, "How did it go?" And she goes, "Drive!" Like it's this big. But she says the DR of drive is before LuPone hits the gas, so the I of drive, and then
and LuPone not being too familiar with consonants herself would be taken aback by that.
I agree with that, and also you get a nice close up while Patti LaBelle has kind of comically fallen to the side of the right of the car. You know what I mean? The money kind of goes flopping in the back, and you get LuPone who adjusts her sunglasses, and she goes amateur.
Oh my gosh, you're the first person ever to pick LaBelle as the heavy, which I love, and I love the whole thinking and the visual of it is wonderful.
The only other person to pick Patti LaBelle as the driver has been Jam.
Oh yeah,
I get that. I was torn, honestly.
Yeah,
I was torn. It really did come down to who would have the last sort of line to lead us out of the scene.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I
think we're all right. I think that there's definitely each take has its merits, and I'd like to see that play in rep. And they could take each other's roles.
Yes,
absolutely, and they could trade off.
Poor Patti Murin. We've just disparaged that poor woman's good name.
She's had enough. She's had her fill of all the things she has stolen.
Oh my gosh,
including America's heart.
That is true. Alex Brightman, thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
it's my pleasure.
This has been delightful.
It's my genuine pleasure. Delightful. And all of you, if you want to see what I'm up to, you can look me up on nothing because I am on no social media and no websites.
Which is my favorite thing.
Oh, good. I'm glad. That. Thank you. It's mine too.
I made this overlay of you because it was a headshot that you sent, and I love it so much.
I thought there was a song coming.
Oh no! I'm just showing this. I love this headshot.
It is great.
Yeah. Most people you want to kind of show range in your headshot. I'm just joking. Don't do that.
Nothing but range. So we typically end our show with 3 wishes. So we like to send folks out. Wow. I don't even know simple math anymore. Look at me.
Why did the visual have to come in like that? No.
I know.
One wish.
No, James. Well, here's it
but why one wish?
But why we only do one wish? It's not just because there's 3 of us, but we do one wish because genies give you 3 wishes, and I cannot stand genies.
I understand that.
So we do things differently around here. But
Okay.
it's one wish to send people off into the world with
I'm sorry.
happiness.
How many wishes?
I think if I had a
Got it.
guess,
Okay. Yeah, got it.
one.
Got it.
I'm not sure. Jam, I think it's the wish section. I don't know how many we're doing today. How many wishes are we doing today? Great.
One.
Right. I thought it was one.
But I would like to do a spontaneous, if we can, theme song for the one wish section. And so
this is another thing that Jam has always. Jam does not understand that over the internet, it is impossible for folks to sing.
Don't
together.
talk about impossible. Like
I know Seth Rudetsky figured this out, but I think he also maybe wished for it, like a genie did this for him. So he was able to sort of do that. But I think he's the only one.
To my original argument. So
Yeah.
I think one of his 3 wishes was probably to do this. So Jam believes that we can develop a theme song for one wish.
Okay. Yeah, and the lyric is one wish.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna count us in, and whatever key or whatever, harmony line you want to take, we'll just sing loud and strong one wish.
Can I and I can come in not right away. I can kind of find my way in.
No, come in right away. Like
come in right away.
Yeah, do it.
Is there a clear?
I'll count it. One.
You can. One.
Piragua. No. Oh no, that was Piragua from In the Heights.
I think we've got.
Let me do one wish.
Okay. Well, because I was trying to count in, and you came in on the 2 rather than the 4.
Do you want to know why? It's because it's the internet. We don't have. We're not. Everything I'm saying is coming to your ears a little late. So this is going to be a nightmare, Jam.
Thank you. I have tried to explain this.
How many? Wait. By the way, I'm sorry. I got too hot there for a second. How many wishes are we doing?
Oh, one wish.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for the theme song.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Do you want me to conduct?
Okay, fine. You do it.
I'm just going to give you one, and we'll
Okay,
downbeat.
great. All right.
So and one wish.
By this point, how many people by this point could possibly be listening?
Yeah. Right. Here's the thing. I'm going to give the people my wish. My wish for the week is for folks to go out and to develop whatever they need for their own personal lip trill. It does not have to be a lip trill, but whatever you want to call an 8 a.m. I just woke up, first thing I must do. Find out what it is you need to do first thing in the morning and call it a lip trill and do it. So yeah, I'm going to figure out what I want to do in the morning. And
love that.
What are you, Jam?
My wish is for you to buy the Shonda Rhimes masterclass.
Yeah.
And put some structure around all of the things in your folders and drafts and make a thing. Make a thing. Make a thing. Yes. Make something. Be brave.
I love it. I don't have much more controversial than that, which is my wish is for all of you people out there, creative and otherwise, is to actually do this and not nod your head at it, is invest in yourself. There are lots of things that you don't know yet because you've not given it a shot because you're afraid that if you're good at it, you might have to do it. That was me with writing. I was like, what if I'm good at it? Doesn't that mean I'll have to do it? And that sounds scary. But then it turns out like if you actually invest in yourself and go, oh no, this is kind of like what I'm good at, but you can't do it unless you actually invest, not go like, I thought about it. So my wish for all of you, including the 2 of you, is to invest in yourself. There's no age limit to investing in yourself.
Well, you just 26. Like laid down the gauntlet a little bit, Brightman. My gosh.
I'm here for it. I love, this is my favorite kind of stuff to talk about. So I genuinely, like, aside from like dick and fart jokes and things like that, which I do feel like I have become slightly a Mozart of, the other side of things, I very much enjoy chatting about, genuinely. So I really love you guys.
Thank you so much for this.
Alex Brightman, you delicious wonder of the new millennium. You scintillating, glorious man.
The new Millennium. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're marvelous. You're scintillating. You're glorious. You're tremendous. You're beautiful. You're glorious.
And we thank you.
And we thank you.
And we thank you.
I was trying to see if I could come up with some more adjectives of wonder and glory for you. But as people are seeing, you're resplendent and magnificent.
Ooh,
I love resplendent. It's a great word.
I had a cousin named Resplendent. I didn't.
Yeah.
They got diabetes and died. Every time I've had since high school, a friend of mine and I would have that joke. Anytime you talked about anybody, a fake name, a person in your family, even if they were real, they'd say, that reminds me of my Uncle Carl. I'd be like, I know Carl. He died of diabetes.
Oh my God.
I know. It's not, I don't know why I don't know why it became a bit, but it's a bit.
We always do. Oh, she owes me $20.
Exactly. It's everyone has the version of it, right? Everyone has their version of that. Hilarious.
But the diabetes and dad is pretty funny.
But anyway, back to me being resplendent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're wonderful. You're glorious.
Well, right back at both of you, truly. And I really was excited to be on this. I didn't think I was. I thought I had to be at least in like a one, superhero movie to be on this. So that was nice to know that I didn't have to.
Well, it just means that your superhero movie is on its way.
Hasn't come yet. It's coming.
Oh, from your lips, please. It sounds fun.
Alex, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Bye everybody.
Bye.